Welcome back to Digiverse, guys. As you can see here, this is my deck list for the Ultimate Cup that I played just last weekend. I just wanted to do a quick showcase on, this is basically a milestone on how I did in the tournament. As you can tell from the title of the video, I obviously did really well. But I'll just be super quick because you guys already know this is Blue Hybrid and it's already very well proven. So I played a very typical Blue Hybrid build. This is almost card for card the Largo's deck list that won 2 of the Ultimate Cups in America the week before. The only difference is that I'm playing 1 less Syakomon, and I'm playing an extra Azulonmon, and I'm playing 1 extra Matashita instead of the Sora Joe. But still really high ratios and everything else as usual. The main reason I did these is because Azulon has a really good matchup against Yellow, and I wanted a better matchup against that specific deck, especially when Yellow is known for going for long games and typically last you out in terms of having enough cards to beat through you in the longer games compared to Blue. So Azulon takes good advantage of that in order to increase the tempo. And I also wanted to go 1 more on the Matashita because I like the idea of having a 2-cost Tamer drop just to edge out the memory setting effects. And Mat's just the best way to do it with setting up. In reflection, I would have taken out 1 of the Mat and swapped out the Sorojo, but I would have kept Azulon at 2, it's very good. Onto my record, I went 5-2 out of 7 rounds, placing 27th, so top 32. Out of, I think, 256 players, the Oceanic Ultimate Cups have less players than the other Ultimate Cups, unfortunately. I think that's just how they set the caps. So overall, 2 losses out of 7 rounds, still very good. The deck was extremely teched out against the Blue Hybrid mirror match, especially with the Kendo Garurumon being able to bounce back rookies. And bringing your Gokomons only to 2 copies to reduce the likelihood of leaving on the board so your opponent can exploit it with the Sora Joe. And then of course I am playing the 1 Mimi, and the Mimi is a really good tech against Blue Hybrid because the Hammer Spark, it pretty much just negates it for that specific card. But they can potentially get more Hammer Sparks, you know, if they have multiple in their hand. Also, Mimi also works with your own Hammer Sparks because you can tap your Mimi, gain 2 memory, and that 2 memory is also very important to go into hybrids for game if you're just missing that 1 memory. Also very good for Ice Wars, so you can keep turn, and then if they have a memory setter, say, you can just play a Tamer or a Digimon, set them on 3 memory. Overall, extremely happy with the build, run perfectly just the way I liked it, and I can just go briefly onto the matchups. So my first match I actually took an L. I went against Blue-Green Rookie Rush with Blue Hybrid mixed in it. They basically were using the Davises in order to get 2 targets and using those green targets as two hard drops in order to get super cheap damage in. I played super safe and super secure. Unfortunately, I just hit the wrong card security at the wrong time when I had lethal in either times. One time he had the card that bounces a dude back to hand and makes sure 2 Digimon can't attack for the rest of the turn, and that made me miss lethal. He just had the exact card, and he also benefited off Sora Joe's coming out of security to give him extra memory in order to feed him enough for next turn, so he could go for game. So it was just really unfortunate, and that set the mood for my entire tournament. I was just really bummed after that round because I felt like I was lucked out of the security, and my opponent just had it because he had it. But going into round 2, I went against a Yellow Hybrid. This is where Azulonmon put in heaps of work, beating out 4 of his security, so I can whack with a rookie for game. It was very, very solid. And match 3 was actually really harsh on me, because that's the match where my internet went out, and I had to stream with data on my phone while having my phone pointed at my mat from my perspective, so I can stream his side through my phone and I can watch on the screen that way. So it was extremely janky. I couldn't see half of my opponent's board because my phone holder's clamp actually covers like half of the screen. So I had to, like, you know, ask politely if my opponent could put cards on like the sides of his mat. It was kind of ridiculous, and I actually made a lot of misplays because I couldn't actually see properly what was on his board, and that's nothing on my opponent. I mean, that's just all on me with my janky setup for temporary fixing of the internet. but I was able to luckily clutch out that match because my opponent just didn't see the hybrids at the right time. Match 4, I went against a Gabubond hybrid deck, blue hybrid deck. That one I also beat out pretty well. There was a moment where he could have potentially gone for game if he had the Gabubond in his hand, plus no way of gaining memory in my security. So I was a little bit lucky that he didn't get that in that specific time, but you know, if he doesn't have it, he doesn't have it, and that's just how it works. So I beat that one out 2-0, I was pretty happy with that. The next 2 games I played 2 more blue hybrids, which I beat out convincingly. Pretty much didn't have any worries with them. My tech cards for the increased Buku Mons and Security Mons helped really well for that matchup, especially forcing my opponent to pay 3 memory for his Beowulf while I have Siaka Mons on the board was really good. And also Madoki Beta Mons locking out my opponent's Hammer Sparks and their security, and then making sure they won't get anything off their Howling Memory boosters as well. On my last matchup I was 1 for 5, which means if I won this match I could potentially be in the top 8. And I played up against yellow hybrid with a purple bottom. The yellow hybrid deck played extremely conservative and controlled. Back and forth, we only played Tamers for like the first 5 turns, simply because we didn't want to give away a lot of memory and give the opponent a lot of advantage. He was playing his TK Karis, so if you lose security, if you have less security, you gain 2 memory. And I was playing my Sora Joes. So for blue, me, I didn't want to hit into his security unless I had game. And for yellow, he didn't want to play any Digimon. Otherwise, I'll just start eating up memory. So the game was extremely grindy. And whenever I had an established large board of 3 or 4 guys, he was always able to remove them with a Schwarz laser on his turn or through his security. So that was rather unfortunate. And he played really well going into late game in order to establish enough resources in his Tamers and gain a bunch of memory so he can go for a really big push. In the end, he did beat me out. Kudos to him. My only irk was that I wish I could play a little bit better under the pressure. We were on table 3, where tables 1 and 2 were players that were undefeated. And of course, actually, my opponent was also undefeated, as he had only 1 draw. But he was an excellent player, really fun guy to banter with in the middle of the game. So I'm really happy that I lost out to him, and he actually ended up taking 2nd place. So good on you, 2nd place. Take your Omnimon with grace. It's a really good prize card. And yeah, that concluded the tournament. I checked my placings and I was 27th place, top 32, really nice, considering that there's no difference in pricing between 9th place and 32nd place. And then after the tournament, I had a D&D night. The guys were actually in the other room waiting for me to hurry up and finish my game so they could start playing D&D with me. It was really, really fun coming out of the study and then having them cheer me on as I told them my record, and it was pretty good. It was pretty fun. Overall, it was a super fun tournament. Thank you, Tact Games Australia, for setting up this tournament and letting us all play. It was very smoothly run. And that wraps up the entire video. I'll be recording some pre-release for BT8 just tomorrow. Tomorrow's our pre-release for BT8. It's going to be a lot of fun, especially unboxing a lot of cards. I can't wait. I can't wait for BT8. I got so many deck ideas, I can't wait to show them off, especially because Australia here gets them a little bit early than the rest of the world in some areas. But yeah, subscribe to check that out tomorrow, and I'll see you next time.